Hello, beautiful black people. Beautiful, beautiful black people. I hope that all is well in your world, and I hope that this day becomes a very, very successful day for you and all of your wonderful, wonderful, wonderful black loved ones. Remember this, my beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. The drought will define a man when the well run dry. The drought will define a man when the well run dry. The question is, how did those white folks become so rich? I have said in the past that black folks, people that look like me, right here on this plantation called America, and that is America with 3 K's, by the way, America with 3 K's. Black folks on this plantation have always been 20 miles behind in a 26-mile marathon. You may know this already, but if you do not, here it is. It was called the Compromise of 1877. And it is probably the most devastating single political event in the history of black folks on this plantation called America. In 1877 is when a group of racist white politicians, very similar to that group of racist white politicians in the Republican Party and in the White Boy House. And the racist white folks backed these racist white politicians in 1877, just as 70% of racist white folks in America still today back Trump and the Republican Party. In 1877 is when a group of white racist politicians of both parties, you get that? In 1877, racist white politicians of both parties convened at, it was then called the Wormsley Hotel in Washington, D.C., to attempt to resolve the deadlocked presidential election of 1876 between Rutherford B. Hayes, a devout racist, and Samuel Tilden. And these politicians, these white racist politicians of both parties, agreed that if Rutherford B. Hayes were given the presidency, then he would remove the Union troops that were protecting the freed black slaves in the South. And then Rutherford B. Hayes would allow the former slave-holding class, those white slave owners, and the system that they had, and the system that had made these white folks wealthy, to return to power. That was called the Compromise of 1877. In effect, it is the exact point in history when America's white races, bastards, decided that black emancipation was a mistake, and from that day forward, black folks, people that look like me, would never have freedom, would never have justice, and would never have equality on this plantation called America. Thus, racist white folks who had actually rebelled and taken up arms against their own country, the Confederate traitors, were forgiven and accepted as equal partners over and above all black folks, the freed slaves. Many of these freed slaves had fought to repel the terrorists, the traitors, the Confederate terrorists, the Confederate traitors, and help save the Union. Black folks had made great strides in those 14 years since emancipation and had developed businesses, achieved political offices, and even set up dozens of all-black towns. But they met a violent demise at the hands of jealous, racist, hateful, bloodthirsty, covetous white folks. When black folks advance, when black folks succeed, it triggers white rage. It shatters white fragility, and it inspires white terrorism, white slaughter, white murder, etc., etc. In accord with the Compromise of 1877, black folks, people that looked like me, were returned to virtual slavery and assigned to permanent political, to permanent social, and to permanent economic inferiority. There was a Louisiana congressman. His name was William M. Levy. He was Jewish, a member of the Jewish community. Gave a speech in Congress that convinced the white lawmakers, the white racist lawmakers, that this profoundly racist action was the best policy for all of America, with 3 Ks, by the way. The most ironic and profound feature of this episode is that on the same day that those white racist America with 3 Ks politicians decided to end black success, black advancement, and black progress forever, the founder of the very powerful, progressive Nation of Islam, his name was Master Fard, F-A-R-D, Muhammad. He was born in Saudi Arabia. Both of these events, the two most significant in this history, in the history of black folks on this plantation called America, happened on February the 26th, 1877. And Frederick Douglass stated in 1876, and I am quoted, Frederick Douglass, he said, "You say," he's talking to white folks, "you say you have emancipated us, but when you turn us loose, you gave us no acres, A-C-R-E-S. You gave us no land. You turned us loose to the sky, to the storm, to the whirlwind, and worst of all, you turn us loose to the wrath of our infuriated slave masters, slave owners, etc., etc." Frederick Douglass said that in 1876. How did white folks become so wealthy? The Compromise of 1877 returned black folks to slavery, whereby their labor would continue to be stolen. Their chances for success and advancement would be stymied, stopped forever. Hence is why in June of 2020, white folks' wealth outnumber black folks' wealth by a 20-1 margin, my beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. White folks got so wealthy because they have stolen the wealth from black folks since the inception of this plantation called America. They have done it economically. They have done it politically. And it all was done by policies and laws that white folks passed, enacted to stop black folks, but to help white folks become wealthy. That's all I have on this one. please go to the thrasherway.libsyn.com. There you will have access to all that I do.